How can film settings push a tragic narrative and become a hill for characters to die on? This is what this video essay will examine through 4 films, mainly through Vortex, then Amour, Dog Day Afternoon, and Reservoir Dogs. Vortex follows an unnamed elderly couple in their cozy but cramped Paris apartment. The walls decorated with posters of political movements of the past, and hundreds of books on the bookshelves that line the walls of almost every room of the apartment. The wife is suffering from rapidly declining dementia. The apartment is a cage for them, but they refuse to leave. The last memories of the wife surround her in the cage they create for themselves. She wanders aimlessly around the apartment, post-it notes lined around her desk and the kitchen to serve as reminders to her, but also to us that she is losing her subconscious. The husband's office becomes his refuge, where his negative traits show, such as the affair he's having. Even if their apartment represents a cage for them, they do not want to let go of the last of what they have, which is what they have built over their marriage, the hundreds of books, the feminist and anti-cop posters, the messy office full of papers. Not only is it a hill they will die on, but one they have built for themselves. The tragedy ends in and with the apartment itself, where the wife poisons herself by leaving the stove on. The apartment, being the life of the couple, is what our protagonist dies for, and is what kills her. A comfortable setting is what becomes the horror of the film. Amour tells a similar story, telling the story of Anne who suffers from 2 strokes and her husband Georges who takes care of her. The apartment, large and well organized unlike Vortex, becomes their barricade. Doors are always closed, visits are only in the living room, and when Anne's condition deteriorates she is bedridden and often behind the closed doors of her room. The large, clean and airy apartment becomes claustrophobic through these closed doors, only becoming large and airy once more in its final scene. The apartment is where Anne wants to die, and this becomes their hill to die on. They become more distant from the outside world. Anne's bedroom stays locked when the guests arrive. The only thing down that brings down this barricade is the opening flash-forward scene, a fireman breaking down the front door with an axe after Anne is already dead. Unlike Vortex, the apartment has less trace of personality apart from Anne's piano and the sound system that plays the classical music Anne used to teach. The apartment as a setting serves to show the social barricade the couple makes in its final moments. Dog Day Afternoon's sweaty bank is visually unremarkable, other than the advertisements for travelers' checks to fly abroad, which is ironically Sonny's escape plan. Like Amour, the change that makes this setting important is the sweatbox it becomes during the length of the film. The setting is dynamic. Similarly to Vortex, personality changes in different parts of the settings, Sonny being lively and confident in the street, but becoming vulnerable and impatient inside the sweaty bank. Reservoir Dogs differentiates itself as none of the characters are willing to die until the very end of the film. It is quite ironically a former mortuary. There is a hearse in the background that Mr. Blonde sits atop before his death, and next door, 6 coffins, stood upright, the same amount of people that will die on location. The rest of the setting is bare and mostly empty, as if this setting announced nothing but the death of the characters from the start. Rather ironic that they all try to survive the aftermath of this robbery in a mortuary. The bare setting also reflects how little the robbers know about each other, and how baseless their accusations are leading to their deaths. Accusations create a hill that Mr. White is willing to die on, showing itself to be useless when he finds out that he's been protecting an undercover cop. The reason for the deaths being as empty as the mortuary it finds itself ending in. In all films, setting becomes what will be the death of the protagonists. Vortex takes a cozy setting and turns it into the centerpiece of its horror and its end. Amour has its setting changed through the simplicity of closing doors to create a claustrophobic environment from an airy apartment. The bank in Dog Day Afternoon becomes a self-inflicted interrogation room and a place of false safety. Reservoir Dogs' mortuary predicts and becomes an empty last stand. All mark the metaphorical hill that the protagonists willingly or unwillingly die on.